Happy weekend to you all. It's a Saturday morning. We are still looking at a generally quiet weather pattern and a very stagnant one. We still have this upper level system in the southeast that started in New Mexico 4 or 5 days ago. It's just gotten here and now it's getting a new kind of stretched out life, so it'll still be affecting this area for the next several days. One system in the Northeast is not connected with severe weather in general, and that's good news here that we're in kind of a severe weather lull because as through the 6th of May, we have a count of tornadoes in the U.S. of 724, well ahead of the mean. The mean is that dark line right there. So it all started, we were actually a little bit below normal until about mid-March hit right here, and then things just went haywire. You can see the outbreaks. There's one. There's a couple actually, and there's one, and then it's just been steadily kind of trickling up since then. And if you want to know graphically where all those occurred, there that is kind of hard to pick out. The strongest on the map are the EF4s. That occurred in mid-March from northern Arkansas, northeastern Arkansas, into extreme southeast Missouri. Quite a few EF3 pluses in that mix as well. Anyway, coming back to the current, here is the HRRR, the high-resolution model. This is what it thinks radar will look like over the next 42 hours. Still have this system that's actually backing up. The upper-level winds are actually helping that low, which was trying to exit, to kind of respin and go backwards. So, and while it's doing that, by the way, all the moisture that would normally come up from the Gulf is wrapping around this thing. So very little is actually returning to the plains yet. It doesn't have a pathway. It will later in the week, though. So that's why the severe weather threat, along with the changing jet stream winds, will be increasing through the Great Plains, and we'll show you those forecasts here in a minute. Speaking of forecasts, hot off the presses here, we'll take a look at the severe weather outlook for today, Saturday. A slight risk, that's 2 out of 5 in the panhandle of Florida, with a larger risk surrounding that of the lowest. And then we have a tornado probability with that, 5% chance, a little bit higher than the 2% that sometimes just comes out with severe weather in general. But from Doniphan southward into the panhandle between Pensacola and Tallahassee, Florida, is where that threat lies. There's a secondary severe weather area up in Montana and parts of Idaho today. That's the lowest risk, 1 out of 5 in that part of the world. Heading to Sunday, there's a severe weather risk, the same two places. We have the southeast encompassing everywhere from Jackson to Montgomery to Tallahassee to Jacksonville to Florida and Orlando to Tampa, Florida, and Orlando as well. And then we have that secondary area up in Montana. It's just shifting a little bit more to the northeast to encompass parts of North Dakota. And then again on Monday, guess what? The southeast, now this low, stops moving backwards and starts moving east again. So the threat shifts back in that general direction. Again, these are not real high risk. That's the lowest. Kind of a marginal risk of severe weather, but nevertheless, be on the lookout in the southeast for several days of pop-up thunderstorms, which could produce gusty winds, hail, and maybe an occasional tornado. Now, we go ahead to Tuesday, and we're going to look at the SIPS outlooks, and we do have an SPC outlook to look at too, but there's a higher probability on Tuesday of some severe storms there. Cheyenne included in that, the panhandle of Nebraska, northern Colorado as well, and that's on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we have an outbreak, according to just some of the analogs, possible, I wouldn't say outbreak, just severe storm possibilities in the Carolinas there, Kentucky, Virginia, and moving a little bit more aggressively out into the plains. Now, if we take a look at Thursday's outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, they finally did pull the trigger on a 15% probability that encompasses southern and central Wisconsin, straight down the heart of Illinois, including much of Indiana. So St. Louis, Springfield, Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Chicago, Grand Rapids. Did I say Indianapolis? Yes, they're all under the gun. If we look at the SIPS model for Thursday, it shows a probability that expands around that a little bit. So the SPC was trying to fine-tune this a little bit more. Now, getting into the weekend, Friday, this one looks a little more serious. Actually, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are still up in the air, but I still think those are going to be severe weather days broadly. But there's a pretty high probability, 30% chance down there in north central Texas on Friday of severe storms. And if we were to move that ahead even to Saturday, it doesn't move a whole lot. So those 2 days could be interesting in the deep south. I even saw some slight 5% tornado probability showing up in Texas there. That's way out, though. I don't know if those are worth showing. But anyway, just be on guard, basically. Here is the NIU supercell composite. This is from the 10th through the 16th. So it starts to encompass some of those outlooks I just showed you there. The Illinois down to Kansas and Oklahoma, and in the southeast still. That's, again, it's a May 10th through May 16th forecast. So this is the accumulated supercell composite for a 7-day period. So it doesn't actually address any particular outbreak, unless that's the only one in the next 7 days, and I don't think it is. And then we go ahead to the second week, and we're just a broad paintbrush on that one. Look at that. A lot of severe weather possibilities. Again, a supercell is, by its definition, a thunderstorm which can hold itself together long enough and is strong enough to produce large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. It doesn't really get specific beyond that. There are other things that play into this, like warming level caps that might stop convection, and it doesn't really address low-level circulations that would be more favorable for tornadoes. That's a touchy thing. That many days out, that is really, really hard to nail down. And then the last days of May, it actually shifts and backs up a little bit. This, to me, indicates an upper level flow that will encourage high pressure and cooler air to come down this way. You can almost see the front. But Oklahoma, Texas will be under the gun late in the month. The last graph I'll show you here, and I usually show you just sort of the projected ensemble forecast. Here I'm just going to show you what's called the EPS weekly, and this just shows the 500 millibar flow, which are the black lines, and then this is the anomaly. So this is whether these heights, is what they're called, are higher or lower than what you would normally expect. So you see higher heights in the Great Lakes in the Northeast. By the way, that means really warm temperatures for that period. And then when you see an anomaly where you see the blue where the heights are lower than normal, that basically just means, generally speaking, on the period ending the 18th, we just have this broad area of trough of lower pressure aloft, and that generally means that if you can get moisture and instability and a lack of capping out here ahead of that feature, you're going to get an uptick in severe weather, as we've been talking about. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day one because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.